Ladies and gentlemen, this story is why women live longer than men, and also proof that most men can be led right off a cliff with just the temptation alone of beer, boobs, or in this case, frosting. Let's start with a little client shaming, my favorite thing. This is Nah, N-G-A, Nah. Clearly, she's of Asian descent. It's pronounced Nah. For whatever reason, throughout the entire transaction, her lender referred to her as N-G-A. Like he actually, when he talked about her, he would say N-G-A. I'm like, man, she's not a nonprofit. Nah, her name is Nah. Like, nah, that's not how you pronounce it. She wanted to buy a townhome or a condo at the beach. So the first time that you see someone when it's a Zillow call, you're meeting them in person, is at the first showing. I pull into this condo community and get out of the truck. There she is up on the balcony, and she hurls herself over the ledge and yells at the top of her lungs so that everyone for several counties from here can hear. She yells, "There's my beach bitch!" It was funny, I just wasn't expecting it. I've been called way worse. It was fine. She had even better behavior at the actual closing when you're in an attorney's office and you're signing like this many documents, so everybody is just sort of like, right? And you make small talk, stupid stuff like, what color do you think you're gonna paint the living room? Like nobody cares, but like that's what you do. So I asked, hey, I never got the story. How did you two meet, her and her husband, Craig? Well, Craig is American, and Nah clearly came from a different country. And she said, oh, I'm the mail order bride. Let's speed up to this week. This week, I had a very successful closing on Baldwin Drive in Leland, and this was a fixer-upper done by a very well-known, very highly respected company called Swan Song Properties. That is run by Sarah and Steve. They do incredible houses. They are a gift from the heavens when you get to list one because you know that the house is great. And people locally who know about them know the house is great, so you get a ton of showings. And when it's beautifully marketed by yours truly, then you get a ton of showings. Anyway, our buyer, we had some hiccups. There's always some hiccups, but our buyer was so delighted with her new home that she called me directly to ask if she could leave a gift for Sarah and Steve. Of course you can give them a gift. That's very sweet. I told her to leave it at the attorney's office because that way she could sign in the morning, and then when Steve came to pick up his check, he could just pick up the gift and be done with it. Steve picks up his gift. It's a lovely bottle of wine and a beautiful package of perfectly frosted cookies. Now he's on his way to his next job site, and he has with him his sidekick, the only other love of his life, Sadie. Sadie is about 100 pounds. She's a Great Dane, and she's all leg and like giant noggin. She's the sweetest thing. So Sadie is with him in the truck, and they're on their way to the job site, and in the seat next to him are the cookies and the wine. Steve is in a very vulnerable position right now because back at home, Mrs. Dutton has been restricting sweets because Mr. Dutton, Steve, has gotten a little fluffy. When Mrs. Dutton said her vows, it was to have and to hold, not to have and to hold your dad bod. So she's been cutting back calories. Now, there's a package of cookies sitting next to him, and Mrs. Dutton is nowhere near. One hand on the steering wheel, the other gives in to temptation. He plows his hand through the packaging and rips into the cookies. He gets about halfway through the first cookie and realizes that they're disgusting. In fact, he verbalizes this to Sadie by saying, these cookies taste like shit. I mean, they're bad. Like, they're really bad. They're somewhere between tree bark and gravel. That's about the consistency and that's about the flavor. And it's not getting better, it's getting worse. It's starting to like gum up on the roof of his mouth. He should have stopped there, but he didn't because this is his only chance to get some dessert because Mrs. Dutton is not around. He keeps going. And now he's about to the end of the first, maybe second cookie, and then he can't take it anymore. He makes eye contact finally with Sadie, who gives him a very knowing look. And that look says, those are for me, dumbass. Steve reaches over in the seat, picks up the packaging, and examines the cookies closer and realizes that most of them are shaped like dog bones because they were frosted dog biscuits for Sadie. They were not for Steve. In the last video I did about where I did the live mansion tour, which we'll be doing more of those because those are more manageable if I can walk through a home live and show you all the house porn. But the TV station I used to work for has a new program called Cape Fear Weekend. Cape, C-A-P-E, Fear Weekend. I can tell you a whole story of why this area is called Cape Fear, but it's not worth your time right now. Cape Fear Weekend reached out to me and asked if I wanted to do a series of house tours of really cool old houses and gut jobs that are being remodeled and then luxury homes. And I was like, do you even have to ask? Basically what we did when I was driving around in the van, this time on the television. So we're gonna start doing that. We did the first one this week. That was the live house tour. And I think we're gonna do very short videos initially. And then ultimately the goal is to work up to an actual 30-minute show, like our show. Do the real thing. But we kind of have to prove ourselves that people will actually watch it. Which I'm like, hand me my Coke Zero, okay? And get out of my way. So I do not ask ever on this channel to like, subscribe, share, contribute to Patreon, all that. I try to leave that in the hands of everybody watching. But since this is the big dream and would be really cool for us to actually get our own show about the very things that I love, then I am going to ask that you take a moment after watching this to go on Facebook and to type in Cape Fear Weekend. And all I'm asking you to do is just like that page. That's it. Because that's where they're going to announce showtimes, and that's where we'll post some videos and behind the scenes stuff. But we really got to prove to the marketing department that people are interested. So, Cape Fear Weekend. Give it a like. You don't have to like this channel, but I am going to ask you to like that page. And we're going to rock and roll with that. So, the cool thing ahead of us is that while the video and production crew will be shooting with me these inside tours, I will be taking you through the live tours and all the behind the scenes stuff, which I think is some of the more interesting things because on 2-minute video clips you can't really say that much. So we'll keep the really sweet stuff for us here on this channel. All right, Cape Fear Weekend. Thanks, weirdos.